Good morning, 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 everybody. I hope everybody's day is off to a great start. I'm thankful to be in the land of the living this morning. I'm thankful to be amongst the living this morning. I'm thankful that God woke me up this morning and gave me another chance. So for those of y'all who don't know who I am Grace Amber. I come on different platforms whenever God gives me a word to share. I come on and I share it with you. So really quick this morning, happy Monday. I want to talk to you from the topic of far-fetched. Far-fetched. What am I talking about today? Let's jump in. When you know who you are and whose you are, there is a level of confidence that comes along with it. Why? Because when you know who you are and you're a child of God, you know that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And when you know whose you are, when you know that you are God's child, there's also a boldness that comes with that because you know that nothing is impossible for God. And so if there's something that you can't do, and if it's something perchance that you can't do through Christ who strengthens you, then you know that God will do whatever it is, and he can do whatever it is that needs to be done, right? But as a child of God, right, here's the deal. A lot of times God will give you visions. He will give you dreams. He will give you goals. And to many people will look at those things and say, now that's just far-fetched. You tell your parents you want to be a doctor, and Dr. Miles Monroe will give this example that a child's parent would tell them, stop dreaming, boy, go get a job. Son, get a job. I can hear him right now, right? So when you have these visions and these goals, to many people, it will seem far-fetched. But because you are a child of God and you know who you are and whose you are, you just can't cast your dreams away. It is something about the dream that God has given you that keeps on nagging you. Why? Because it's actually possible. And one of the worst things that we can do as children of God is God gives us vision. He gives us dreams. He gives us goals. And we want to share it and we want to tell people. But people can often be dream killers. So if God has given you a vision, right now you're an addict. You strung out on crack, right? But God keeps giving you visions that you're going to be a businessman one day. God keeps giving you these dreams that you're going to be sitting at tables in nice suits and in nice clothes around nice dressed people. God has given you these visions. And so when you're where you are right now, and you're strung out on crack, and you try to tell that to your peers, they gonna kill your dream. Why? Because to them, it seems far-fetched, right? But to you, you're a child of God. You know who you are. You know whose you are. And because of those things, the dream won't go away. Because of those things, the vision won't go away. I come to tell you just today that whatever it is that your dream is, whatever your dream life is, whatever your goals are, whatever the vision is that God has given you that won't go away, it is not far-fetched. If you have air in your lungs, if you have breath in your body, if the blood is still running warm in your veins, guess what? There is still a chance, whatever the dream, the vision, the goal is that God has given you, put your hand to the plow and go after that thing. It doesn't matter where you are right now, because it doesn't matter how low you are right now. With God, God can turn this thing around and you'll go from here, from 0 to 100 real quick when it comes to God, right? I want to give you the story that I've been talking about probably about 2 weeks now. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I'm not going to start from the beginning of the story because I don't want to bore you, right? But I'm going to give you just a few key verses. In a few sentences, let me tell you, for those of you who don't watch every day, about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I'm sure you've heard of the three Hebrew boys who defied the king Nebuchadnezzar at that time, who he put a declaration out that everybody was supposed to worship his gods and his idols. The three Hebrew boys refused. They got thrown into the fire. They ended up coming out alive, untouched, unharmed, right? I want to give you a few verses in this story. I'm going to skip around a little bit to show you how your visions and your goals and your dreams can seem far-fetched in one stage in your life. Your dreams, your visions, and your goals will seem humorous to people around you at one stage. But I want to show you how quickly, when you're a child of God and you know who you are and whose you are, how quickly that thing can turn around and how God can take you from 0 to 100 real quick. Turn with me in your Bibles to Daniel, the 3rd chapter. Let's go Let's go. I told you the story about why they got thrown into the fire. Let's go down to the 3rd chapter. Let's go down to the 21st verse. So these men, wearing their robes, trousers, turbans, other clothes were bound and thrown into the blazing furnace. The king's command was so urgent and the furnace so hot that the flames of the fire killed the soldiers who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, firmly tied, fell into the blazing furnace, right? I'm going to skip a verse. I'm going to go down to the 26th verse. Nebuchadnezzar then approached the opening of the blazing fire and shouted, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come here, right? Now, I'm going to bypass a few verses and I'm going to go down, right, to the last verse. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. So it started off that the king was upset with them. He threw them to a low place in the fire, some place in some circumstance, in some situation that it appears that there's no way you're going to come out of this. It appears that it's impossible for you to come out of this, right? So they threw the 3 Hebrew boys in the fire, right? A few verses later, you see King Nebuchadnezzar telling them to come out. Go back down a few verses, and guess what? You see the king has actually promoted them. So they come from a low place. I'm sure that if they had these dreams and their visions of what they would be one day, I'm sure that God had given them dreams and revelation that they were going to be promoted to a position of prominence, right? But then you look at them in the middle of this chapter and you see that they have been thrown to a low place in the fiery furnace, right? That's how it started. But then you see a few verses later, they are called out and the story ends with them being promoted. So can it be with you, and so shall it be with you if you will put your hand to the plow. It doesn't matter what your low place is right now. It doesn't matter who is laughing at your dreams that you done made a mistake and told them about, because people can be dream killers. It doesn't matter who thinks that the dream, the vision, and the goals are far-fetched. So long as you have blood running through your veins that is warm, guess what? There is still a chance with God. All things are possible, and you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Put your hand to the plow. The dream that won't go away, the reason why it keeps nagging you and won't go away, because it's still a possibility, because you're still here in the land of the living. Nothing is far-fetched when you are a child of God and you know who you are and whose you are. Nothing is far-fetched when you are still alive and you have lungs that have breath in them and you have blood that is running warm in your veins. Nothing is far-fetched when you are a child of God. Put your hand to the plow and remember that all things are possible with God. I love you. I'm Grace Amber. I will be right back on tomorrow with another word.